A little Southern California segment, West Coast Bias. Actually, West Coast by Us, featuring A.J. Cassavell, who covers the Padres on MLB.com, David Vassegh, who covers the Dodgers everywhere. Gentlemen, good morning. Thanks for joining us in our point-counterpoint style discussion as to who actually is the supreme club in a now very interesting, very top-heavy NL West. And David, as the vanguard of the defending World Series champs, I'll ask you to go first and lay out a cogent 60-second case as to why the Dodgers repeat as division champs for what would be a 9th straight year.
Well, you're asking a lot from me, Matt, but I'll try to lay this out for you. Number one, they're the 8-time division champions. Nobody has proven that they are better than the Dodgers the last 8 years. And by the way, I feel like 2 out of the last, maybe 3 times in the last 8 years, guys like Matt Vassegh has handed and crowned the San Diego Padres the World Series champions during the offseason. That has never come to fruition, Vassegh. Number 2, the Dodgers have the best 1-2 punch in the division, and they proved it on the biggest stage in the NLDS and the World Series. Mookie Betts, Corey Seager. Not to mention their rotation. You guys were just talking about the arduous 162 coming off a 60-game season. The Dodgers just don't have 2 pitchers, 2.5 pitchers. They have 7 pitchers to lean on this season. They got Bauer, Buehler, Kershaw, Price as of now, Urias, Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin. The last time I checked, you see that with the Padres, they got Darvish, Snell, Lamet, who's iffy for the season. Musgrove is solid. Paddock needs to answer some questions, and Mackenzie Gore has even pitched an inning in the major leagues. I mean, come on. You guys are really stretching a lot of things here to make this a competitive, compelling case that there is going to be a race in the NL West.
Wow, an impassioned case by a motivated David Vassegh this morning, who's had his coffee at 7:30 a.m. Los Angeles time. AJ, you're up.
Well, I have not had my coffee yet, so I'll try and bring the same kind of fire. But I think you can kind of throw out the National League Division Series for what it was last season, given that the Padres didn't have their 2 best starting pitchers, and they've since added 2 Cy Young Award winners. On paper, I think these 2 teams are pretty fairly even. They've both built rotations that are deep. I think the Padres have that depth. They have Mackenzie Gore as the number 6 guy. I mean, he's the best pitching prospect in baseball, so that's probably what you want out of your number 6 starter. They both have 3 aces. They both have extremely deep lineups. I would put Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado as the best 1-2 punch in the division. But the Padres have gone a long way toward equaling the Dodgers model in terms of building depth. They've added Jurickson Profar. They've added Ha-Sung Kim in the offseason. So they can kind of go 11, 12 deep and mix and match like the Dodgers. And so here's where I would make my case for the Padres. If these 2 teams are pretty even on paper, which I think they are, the Dodgers are going to have to do a lot to maintain what they had last season, maintain that energy of winning their first World Series in 32 years. If there's any slip up there, and we all know how hard it is to repeat, if there's any slip up there, the Padres have exactly the hunger they need to win the National League West.
Man.
Wow, 2 very compelling cases.
You guys got Matt drooling up here in the studio, man.
Who are those people? I had never heard of the people that AJ just mentioned.
Hey, here's a question now. Second round of this is this. If I'm living in San Clemente, roughly halfway between Dodger Stadium and Petco Park-ish, and I'm thinking about moving, and I'm thinking about both of your destinations.
San Diego.
Where am I moving to L.A. to be a Dodger fan? Talk about the fan experience, David, as being a Dodger fan versus AJ's case, forthcoming, of being a Padres fan. David, you're first once again.
Well, the best thing the Padres have to offer is their stadium food, so that's going to be hard to compete with. But as far as being a Dodger fan, I mean, the multicultural aspect of LA, I would say, is greater than San Diego. We get people from different countries, and it blends into great food. And come on, Matt. I mean, I know San Diego's got great tacos, and they got some nice Wahoo fish tacos down there for you. But in LA, we got Philippe's Original. That's the original French dip back in 1918. We got the great music venues of the Greek Theater, the Hollywood Bowl. Dodger Stadium fits into that category of some of the great venues to enjoy and to sit back on a great summer night.
Man, you're good.
It's hard to argue with that, man.
David's good.
AJ, that's
he's
tall order.
back.
Make a case for Padre Nation.
Well, I'll put the Petco Park ballpark experience up there with any. I think it might be the best. I think the area around the stadium is incredible, so you can have a great time before the game. You can go in and watch the game and have some of the best food and drink options in the sport. Let's get outside of baseball, though. I think the city, David already brought up the tacos. The tacos are obviously outstanding. But beyond that, the food's great. The people are great. It has a lot of what I think LA has to offer in terms of the weather and the beaches without some of the traffic and just general congestion of population. So if you're looking for kind of that laid back lifestyle that you can really enjoy, I'll take San Diego. And I'll ask both of you this. If you're dog owners, there is not a single, as the owner of a Black Lab Great Dane mix, there's not a single better dog city in the entire country. If you can go pretty much anywhere with your dog, you can be outside with your dog whenever you want, doing whatever you want, because everything's kind of so open to it. So I'll add that as the cherry on top.
Yeah, it is true, man. I used to walk
Hey, my
Tibetan
wife
Terrier.
takes me for walks. She would argue with that. My wife takes me for hikes. No big deal. It's a great dog city.
Here's the last round of this, and David will once again start with you. If you've written a column, if you could have prepped a column title for this kind of discussion, the great debate between the Padres and the Dodgers for 2021, what would it be called, and what would we be reading?
All right, since we are in Hollywood, and Hollywood loves sequels, guys, The Empire Strikes Back 2 back.
Well, I thought the Empire was in New York.
No.
I mean, have you seen the Dodger payroll, Harold?
I like it. I'm just disappointed in myself that I didn't have a sound effect to punch that up with. The Empire Strikes Back.
Two back.
To back. I get it.
I
AJ,
like it.
can you be cheekier? Is your wordplay any better?
Well, you guys can be the judge of that. I'm saying these are not your Padres.
Oh!
Because this team is just so different than any Padre team we've ever seen.
I like that.
Padres.
I like that a lot. Very nice. Hey, one last question. If there is a threat to what we think is going to be a two-horse race in the NL West, is it going to be the Giants, the Rockies, or the Diamondbacks? And you have to pick one, David. One team that might be a threat. You can't say none of them.
I'll say Arizona.
AJ?
I'll say Arizona is the best chance to be that third team in the mix, but I think San Francisco could shake some things up in the race in terms of playing spoiler.
This was a lot of fun, guys. We appreciate the visit. AJ Cassavell, MLB.com, and David Vassegh covering the Dodgers. We really appreciate the time. We'll do it again, guys. Thanks.